Hello, hello, hello. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns, and I was I was just like right into it, wasn't I? And this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, a stream where I go through my RPG collection and see what there is to see and pick out an RPG that I'm like, oh, that could be quite interesting to play or run or anything like that. And use like an hour or two just to go through it, check out any mechanics, any accessibility things, and for whether or not it's worthwhile getting and reading. I hope you are all okay, my friends. Hitting the ground running this time. Oh, hello, Super Dylan. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I'm very much looking forward to our Orbital Blues interview. I've just been catching up in the chat because today I've begun, well, part 2 of my I will go around my room and catalogue every single thing I own because I am moving in a couple of weeks to your side of the pond, which will be exciting. But until then, I'm like, oh, there's so many books. There's actually not as many as I thought there would be. It's just the problem is certain books are much smaller, so therefore a lot more of them can fit into a shelf. Whereas RPGs usually come in, like, they're usually either hardbacks or they come in boxes. That's actually been quite useful, and I've actually got rid of a teeny tiny pile of stuff that I will not be needing. So that's good, and I've catalogued that. What? Welcome to the US, and I'm sorry in advance. Don't be sorry. I'm going to the wonderful place of Iowa, so I'm more sorry than anything else. But yes, I'll be on your side, so that'd be really lovely. But yes, so all that is done. The books and the board games. So next up is tech and the wardrobe, which I am not worried about, but there's just, wardrobes and closets, there's lots of stuff packed in there, and maybe some stuff I've not packed in or not looked at in several months. So I'm spending the whole weekend doing that, which is hooray, lots of fun, and I'm cancelling lots of things I wanted to do, but it's worthwhile because then I can then send it to the helpful removal people going, this is all the stuff that I need taking, and that is all good. But I hope you're doing well, my friend. What else can I say? What else are we up to? Not much. I'll tell you something that has been quite funny before we move on to today's RPG. So obviously I've handed in my notice at work, hence said move, and it's been, I have a long notice period, which is excellent. But now people are starting to realise that I won't be there. So I'm getting emails. I think because my line manager has very kindly put out like an email to all those folks I've worked with, and obviously to sign something and or contribute to a gift perhaps. And very lovely. Obviously, I'm not on the email. However, I'm now getting stopped at work going, "You're leaving," like as if there's a massive panic going on. Maybe because they've realised I actually did quite a lot for them. But then I got an email today which brought me right back down to earth, which was like, oh, first of all, we're so sorry to hear that Fiona is leaving, but best of luck. Second of all, who's going to do this now she's gone? I was like, thank you so much. I am glad I'm so valuable to you that as soon as you want something done but realise I won't be there to do it, you're like, oh, sorry you're going. Who else can I talk to about my problem? So it gave me a chuckle, and then I got to pass it on to somebody else, which was all wonderful. Anyway, enough about me. Happy Friday to all those out there, or if you're watching it later, hello, happy whatever day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Let us get straight into this tabletop RPG we're looking at today. So today, my wonderful friends, we are looking at something called Old Friends, released by Bully Pulpit Games. Came out, I believe, August 2016, so it's quite old, this game, and you can't get it on the Bully Pulpit website anymore. They're actual official ones, presumably because they've offloaded quite a few of the other ones to Drive-Thru RPGs, where you can get a copy of this book, or this PDF even. And it's an interesting one because I think I've read it through before a long time ago, and I think it's pretty good. I think there's some elements in here I'm like, oh, this is really good, but I think from, again, just an outsider perspective looking in, I think Bully Pulpit have sort of shifted away from sort of esoteric, random sort of RPG ideas, and are now obviously focusing on the Fiasco brand, which is what they're most well known for, and looking into that stuff. So there, they've also got some other amazing games like obviously the Skeletons, the Night Witches, all that sort of thing. But I think Old Friends didn't make the cut, which I think is a big shame because it's quite a short RPG as well. So we're going to go look into it straight away, though. Away from Big Fiona Cam, and into teeny tiny Fiona Cam and Drive-Thru RPG. Hello, friend. So, yes, you can see what it looks like. Let me show you what the cover looks like. I love this, right? Just the way it is like, almost like old film strips of photos. I just think that's just such a cool, eye-catching cover. yeah, black and white, sure, but I just think it's just really eye-catching, and you can see individuals as well, so very exciting. We'll get to see the big part of it there. There's some writing on the walls there as well. So, what have we got? So we got Old Friends is a freeform live-action ghost story by Jason Morningstar and old Peder Giæver, I'm going to say. Designed for 4 to 6 players with no GM. The playtime is 3 to 4 hours. So yes, I think technically it's a LARP more than anything else. But I put it in this, maybe that's the reason maybe Bully Pulpit have moved away from it, because it's more of a LARP than a role-playing game. But there are role-playing game elements in it. You're not rolling dice or anything, but there's definitely bits of paper and a bit, I don't know, there's a bit of sitting down, I seem to remember it as well. But here is the scenario for you. So I will actually, shall I move this across so it is a bit more, see if I can zoom out a little bit. I know tiny writing for everyone else, but no, I'm just gonna read it aloud to you, and you're just gonna have to believe me. This was what it reads. So it says, back in the 90s, you hunted ghosts together. You used an ancient technique that reliably bridged 2 worlds, and you put a lot of souls to rest. Like any team, you were a mess of individual flaws, contradictions, and rivalry, but it worked. It worked until Sarah died. And now, here you are, 20 years later. The past has brought you back together. Together for that one last job. Got nominated for 3 Ottos at the Festival in 2016 for the following categories. Got Best Presentation, Best Roles, Best Effects. And yeah, you see here it's got Rituals, Masks, and Possession cards. So that's why I'm a little bit more like, bit more sort of an RPG perhaps. So there you go. It is also, you can see here, a charity project. So all the profits from this PDF is donated to the Minds Advisory Group, or MAG, which is, again, always good to see stuff go for charity as well. So again, maybe another reason why it's not on the Bully Pulpit website. But yeah, highly recommend you check, go here to Drive4RPG and grab a copy to go along. But let's just go straight into it, friends, shall we? Let me try to find any buttons. There's a button for me, but where's the button for you? There we go. I'll zoom out a little bit, but you can see, again, that sort of Kodak film strip version there. Great cover, I really like it. I want to go zoom in a little bit on some of the details. It feels very much like, again, you see, you know, you can imagine when someone was showing these sort of, their sort of, not slide decks, that's not the word, but you know, the sort of the, oh, I swear I can't remember what they're called now, but yeah, the individual cells, essentially. And they would go around in that sort of rotation thing, and you know, on the projector, and you just see these absolutely random things, like, look, you see, interesting. I generally thought there was somebody there, but that is just a lamp. Yeah, phew, I did scare myself a little bit then, and then there's obviously a person behind there, so it's all fine. It's all fine. They're not real. There's always someone on the plane, isn't there? I always wanted to get into like film photography, but I just never got around to it. But there's only a couple of places in London that you can actually go and do that sort of thing now. So, all right, let's head on in. So, zoom in so that everyone can see. Alrighty. So, back in the 90s, you were a team. You hunted ghosts together. You used an ancient technique that reliably bridged 2 worlds, and you put a lot of souls to rest. Like any team, you were a mess of individual flaws, contradictions, and rivalries, but it worked. It worked until Sarah died. It happened at a haunted school, back in 96. And it seemed like a routine investigation at first, turned into your worst job ever. I see, I can imagine you can put on like the spiel, the sort of like filter of like, the framing of Phasmophobia, perhaps. Or, oh, what's a new one called? It's not called Deceit, is it? It's whatever one where you're on an alien planet. It's like the company job or something like that. And that was it. You were done. Disbanded after the criminal investigation. The authorities filed the death away as natural causes. You all knew better, but you kept your mouths shut. What choice did you have? And now, here you are. The same school, the same classroom. Renovated, painted, bright. The past has brought you back together. Together for that one last job. So we've got... Oh, so this is quite nice. So we're going to break it down. You can see they've got like a little thing for a column here just for the facilitators. So comments, suggestions, and advice for you will appear in this column here. That's quite good. Instead of having it there for obvious things. So preparation should take less than an hour, including all the setup and a short workshop. 2 to 3 hours of play. Budget 30 minutes or more for a post-game debrief. So even then, back in the 2016, I guess it made sense because LARPs are more likely to have debriefs than RPGs, right? So, the facts. So we've got the genre of ghost story, duration of 4 hours. Minimum players is 4, including the facilitators, so 3 ghost hunters perhaps, and then 4. So it's actually quite small, really, per se. Number of organisers is 1. Workload is light. Possible locations, so a classroom, conference room, or private home. Costumes, everyday clothes. So yes, it absolutely is more of a LARP, isn't it? Props. A half mask, a printout of the cards, character name tags. Playing style is realistic, but improvisational. Ooh, just improv. That's all it is. Keywords are ghost, possession, guilt, death, friendship, and trust. I think obviously nowadays maybe keywords would be more like content warnings, perhaps. So I'm just going to move that over there. You guys can't see it. Using this document, so at least one of you should read this document once or twice before the game. You don't have to know anything by heart, but you should have a grasp of the method. You'll explain the basic concepts to the other players and help them set up characters, workshop relationships, explain the rules, and facilitate the flashback scene. From then on, you'll be a regular player in the game with a character of your own. So I'm thinking like stuff like this, obviously, feels very reminiscent of like, you know, Alice is Missing, for example. So this sort of having that idea of that one of you is playing a character within it, but you are also the facilitator as well. So that's what it sort of reminds me of a little bit. And I meant to say, sorry, I completely forgot at the top. This document is only 29 pages long, so again, quite short, really. And I assume a lot of it will be cutting up those cards as well. So many cards. Let's read this first. In practice, each player will have 6 cards to think about, 4 of which are used to form a character and history during the pre-game workshop. In play, the only cards anyone needs to pay attention to are their secret cards, the possession they've chosen, and the keyword they've received. Players can keep their open cards in their pocket or off the game table for reference, but it is unlikely they'll be referred to in play. So, what will we be doing? So, during Old Friends, play will be punctuated with a series of ghostly possessions. Possessions is represented by putting on a half mask. The game begins with a ritual and ends with another one, after all the characters have been possessed at least once. Your character will be defined by a handful of cards you will choose randomly from a series of categories. There are 2 types of cards. There are open cards, which contain information that you can and should share with the group, and secret cards, which contains information that for you alone until compelled to reveal it. Open cards define who your character is now. You'll receive 1 card for the part you played on the old team, so the team role. What you've been doing in the 20 years since Sarah disappeared, backstory. Your relationship with the other characters are here now, problem with the living, I love that. And then your relationship with Sarah, problem with the dead. I like those terminologies of problem with the living and problem with the dead. Quite like that. Secret cards define how you will interact with the ghost during play, possession and keywords. Keep these to yourself. You'll be able to surprise your fellow players and they you. So we have 44 cards in total. We have the warm-up possession, warm-up keywords, team role, backstory, problem with the living, problem with the dead, possession, extra possession, oh dear, what's going on? Sorry, my phone was going off. Extra possession and keywords. So some of these cards won't be used. There are more open cards than players, and each player will choose 1 of 2 possession cards, discarding the other. The extra possession is optional, and also may not end up being used. Okay. I guess there's always that argument of like, oh, having cards that are having physical elements like this can be a bit of a barrier perhaps to people playing the game. But actually, I don't. Like it's like, for example, I assume this is supposed to be played in person. Totally makes sense that it would be the case. But like, how can we make this to be an online thing? Again, we can get all these cards, put them into like a VTT perhaps. Everyone has access to like a half mask. Yeah. You could just change the framing of it so it could be like an online conference room. I don't know, because obviously it says set in, was it 2020? Set in 2016. It's set in, so maybe how would you update it even more? I don't know. So in order, so this is the way we do it. So setup, character setup, and card distribution. Warm up and flashback. The opening ritual, which always starts the game. Continuous play with no scene breaks. Roleplay in real time interspersed with possessions on player initiative. Breaks as needed individually or for the group. And then the extra possession card can be used if needed. And then the closing ritual to end the game if needed. It may end in a satisfying... it may end in a satisfying way organically. And so we have... Wait, secret cards like this, not like this. Okay, I guess the only difference is that here he's got the matching stars. I'm sure we'll find out. The default possessions of the default assumption of the game is that one possession per player, but if it feels right, a player can do another possession using the extra possession card later in the game. Your game demands further possessions. Feel free to be creative, but understand that the intent is one per player. Okay, so first of all, we arrange the space. Old friends will work well in a variety of settings. Make sure yours is quiet, private, and has access to a nearby toilet. It need not be comfortable. Designate an off-game table for character cards, especially if a player lacks pockets. Oh, always. Man, everything should have pockets. The 4 warm-up cards, a common possession card, a relationship roadmap for the characters, the rules and principles, and a scenario 1-page walkthrough. These can be freely checked during play. Don't make a big deal out of another character using it. Use it when necessary. Especially off-game items may be... Specifically, off-game items may be stored under the table, so presumably stuff like phones, perhaps. Alright. So next up we have handout cards. So handout open cards first. Open cards contain public information. These are distributed randomly. Each player should have 1 card of each type. So your team role, which is the function you used to have on the team. The backstory is what you have been doing for the past 20 years since the group fell apart. Your problem with the living, problem with the living defines a relationship between the characters. Each card will give some instructions for your character's specific issue, and you can talk it over and make up details in a group session. And finally, your problem with the dead defines your character's relationship with the ghost. The instructions on this card are shared with the other players, and you can use various problems with the dead as a basis for creating a little backstory together. But don't spend too much time on it, though. Next, randomly hand out secret cards. Secret cards are not shared, although their information is likely to emerge in play. When distributing, make sure that no players have any cards with the same symbols. Right, okay. Fair enough. This is to avoid someone getting a possession card that is supposed to trigger the keyword they received. Okay. Your possession card gives you inspiration and instructions for use of the mask when you become possessed by a ghost. Choose one of the 2 cards. Choose one of the 2 and discard the other. It won't come into play. Choose the one that sounds most fun and interesting to you. Either is fine. Okay. Possession card instructions are kept secret from the other players before the game and are gradually revealed in play when you become possessed. Your keyword card gives you instructions of what to do if you hear a particular, easily recognizable phrase uttered by the ghost. Their exact meaning is unimportant. What is that word? Think of it as a glossolalia. I'm gonna have to look that up. I've never... What is that? Oh, that's interesting. Is this... Oh no, it is... Glossolalia. Lalia. Lalia? What is that word? Okay, the phenomenon of apparently speaking in an unknown language, especially in religious worship. It is practiced especially by Pentecostal and charismatic Christians. Oh, also speaking in tongues. Wow. Okay, I did not know that was a. I did not know that was a word. So, well, the more you know. Huh? Right. So there are only 5 types of these cards. The nature of the instruction is first revealed to the other players during the game when the ghost says your keyword. It is unlikely that all keywords will be triggered during the game. If you forget, it's okay, but try to listen for the keyword on your card whenever the ghost speaks. Have a look here, see. Ooh. Says this keyword, but the keyword is just symbols, right? So star, choose a card. Okay. And then the keyword here is cross, perhaps? Symbols rather than words there. Alright, unused cards. So unused cards, for most card types, there will be extra unused cards. Leave these cards on the table with the open cards face up. It's okay to change cards. Ooh, sorry, jumping around a bit. Either with the unused ones or with other players, but don't spend too much time on this. Then decide on names and ages. Choose names for your characters and put on name tags like the cards. These are an off-game element, a reminder to players only. Choose an age for your character. When you disbanded in 1966, your character was between 25 and 35 years old. So do it within this range and add 20 years to arrive at the present-day character's current age. Conducting a workshop. So, make introductions and connections. Share your open cards and chat a bit about what kind of character they reveal. This especially goes for the problems with the living and problems with the dead cards, but you can expand a bit on all cards this way. Just don't lose track of time. Save most of this setting and backstory improv for proper play. Oh, play proper, sorry. You can make some notes and draw a relationship map as the characters are present. Leave these notes on the off-game table you designate later on. Take turns stating your character's name and say a little bit about the original function on the team. Obviously, again, to update it to sort of nowadays, you probably say like name, pronouns, etc. Maybe if there's any been change or transition between who they were and who they are now as well, probably be good here as well. And say what the original function was on the team. Problems with the dead. Note that this procedure doesn't address your problem with the dead cards, which are common knowledge, but shouldn't illuminate or be expanded upon much before the game begins. Ah, interesting. Okie dokie. So, let's establish relationships, shall we? So taking turns, go around a circle of players 3 times. The first time, pick up your problem with the living cards and read the text. The second time, establish relationships to other characters. For instance, one card reads, decide which other living member of the team recruited you back in 1993. You have never forgotten them for drawing you into the nightmare it turned out to be. Ask them what lie they told you. Ooh. If this is your card, choose a character who was your recruiter and ask them about the lie. That way you collaboratively flesh out the characters, their relationship and their backstory. Try and ensure that everyone has at least one such relationship. And then the third time we go around, talk briefly about the content of your backstory cards. How has your character been? What has your character been doing for the past 20 years? This is also a good time to discover more details on what has brought you back together if people crave more clarity. You can add detail and give each other input, but try and keep this process relatively brief. Alrighty, okay. So yeah, it makes sense. It's just character creation, etc. But it's more, it's more verbal than anything else. Explain the rules, principle and rules. So after character setup, take some time to explain the principles, rules, and procedure of the game. So first principle is listen. Give others a chance to speak. Hear what they say. See how you can build or act upon the information they impart to the story. Principle. Accept and add. If something is stated or established in the fiction, it's probably true. Characters and ghosts may lie and you may forget details, but Try to stay with what's been said. Add your own details as they come to you. Don't try too hard. Say the first thing you think of. Reincorporate elements that have come up previously. Okay. Principle. Decline, but offer. It's perfectly fine for your character to refuse a suggestion, but try and come up with a counter-offer. Don't block or stall the game. If you get stuck in discussion paralysis, true, act. Put on the mask when no one is looking. Make something up like an accusation. Do something stupid. Just pause and breathe. Principle, reincorporate. Before you add a new element, consider what has already been established. Can I reintroduce it into play? Will it create contrast or shed new light on this time around? Stay fluid. Be willing to discard your plan, or even better, don't plan for a certain outcome. Pick up on the creative balls others throw out for you to play with. Go along with the ideas. This is key to having fun with this game. And then finally, let the story emerge. There's no true secrets here. There isn't a pre-written plot to discover. This story will emerge during play, and you'll see its totality in the end. Relax. Give your character and the ghost time to play their hand. Say their piece. Watch what others do. Listen. You know what else I'm getting? I'm getting very strong vibes of there are ghosts. There are ghosts. This Discord server has ghosts by Will Jobs, whose game we looked at as one of their games recently, didn't we? Can't remember which one it was, but yeah, I like it. All these principles actually are just improv principles, aren't they? And presumably ones to have in LARPs anyway. I'm just thinking, just because of that image there, which is absolutely terrifying. Oh, hey, the bad spot. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? How's your deadline going? Yeah, we're looking at Old Friends today, which is slightly more of a LARP than I realised, but it's pretty good otherwise. We're basically looking at the setup so far and giving the principles to the players. Yeah, but it makes me think that if you're playing this game in person, and obviously you can use different rooms, if you're going to play it online instead, maybe I would have it so that there are several different rooms for you to go in. So if you're having a Zoom, like a Zoom room, you could have several different rooms to go off and explore, perhaps. Similar if you're doing it on Discord, maybe you'd have different voice channels and stuff. That's why it makes me think of this Discord has ghosts in it, which is a really cracking, cool game for performances. Bit of a bugger to try and capture any content in it as well. Oh yeah, my deadline. I see, that important, huh? Well, I'm glad to have you here, no matter how long you're here for. So, facilitation advice. So don't read the principles out loud. Oh, well, I've just done that. Instead, give a casual walkthrough. You can use the warm-up to give some friendly instructions and reminders. If you're unfamiliar with facilitating this kind of game, just don't sweat it. Stick with listen, accept and add, and you will be fine. Yes, active listening, yes, and I'm all about that. If you're concerned with people missing the strange-sounding keywords, print out the keyword handout and share it in play. Oh, that's pretty good. One more principle is be obvious. You don't have to be funny or smart. Let the words come to you at their own pace and lead by example. That is, man, if I could highlight that, just be obvious. There's nothing worse, I find, when doing improv and seeing people play, and they have, where is it? It said it here earlier. There was like discussion paralysis. I had it recently actually. I was in an improv class late at night. And there's this one person, I will say, who I've been in many scenes with, and they just never settle on like a good starting line. Like a good sort of like, here's how we can just start the line. And whenever I start a scene and I give it like a strong short offer, they either undermine it with a joke, or they never settle on a response or ask me a question. And you're just like, honestly, I kind of not dread it, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh, just be obvious. Just have a reaction, have an emotion about what I've just said to you. And it's just, I always think of that when I think of like, be obvious. And I was like, this person's they're too busy trying to find the perfect line. And then social anxiety or decision paralysis catches up with them. So there we go. That's a stressful scene partner to be opposite from. Yes, but it's just more. They are, and I think it's because they're very new to it as well. But also, they did say they wanted to be a stand-up comic, and I was like, typical. So someone who did like 2 courses on being a stand-up, and I think it's very difficult to do. But I've got the performance angle down. It's just the writing stuff. Whereas most times I find stand-up folks, they have maybe the writing down, but can't do the performance, or aren't willing to like stretch far from their script. They're worried about getting it wrong. So, but it certainly wasn't the worst scene partner I've ever had. I won't go into details on him. Maybe when we meet up and do our interview, Super Dylan, I'll tell you a bit more of some of examples of some of the incredibly bad online improv I've had to do. Not recently, but there's definitely been one of where I've gone, ooh, I'm going to call a time out there because that was not okay. It's okay. I can laugh about it now, but I always find it fun because I cannot wait. Great. Well, because like, what was I going to say? Yeah, because obviously I've been doing a lot of online US improv right now. So I go from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. my time. And sometimes you are there at like 3:30 in the morning going, wow, what's opera was that? I don't think so. Time out. So you have to laugh a little bit, otherwise you would cry. Rules. So explain these rules to all players after setting up the characters. So rule, the real-time illusion. Everything that happens and is said in the room happens in the fiction. The game runs real-time without scene structure or act breaks. It's almost like a mono scene then. It was designed for this convention in 2016, which took place at a school. There are games usually run in classrooms, so that was also the setting of the scenario, but you can adapt the setting of this game to fit the location you have available. The room is the room in the game. It looks more or less exactly the same. Ideally, play in a place and time free of external noise and distractions. Ideally at night. Ooh, yes, I like that. You know what that's reminded me of? Again, I won't go into too much detail about it because I know we're supposed to be talking about this, not my improv experience, but I did an intensive, like an improv intensive, a couple of years ago. And one of the workshops was like a live action role play, and the name of it was called Cuckoo. And we had to come in character, and we had name badges and stuff, and we spent an hour as these characters. And we weren't allowed to break character or anything like that. And it was one of the most fascinating improv workshops I've ever done. And led by an incredible improv teacher. But it's so interesting because now there's like a person I met during that particular workshop for the first time called Izzy. And I see them quite often now as part of like the London improv scene. And every time we meet with us, when they've been on stage or when I've been on stage, we're like, oh, that was amazing. And we sort of like, talk and stuff like that. And then we go, as we remember when we first met, and we screamed at each other during our sort of that workshop due to various factors. I'd never met anyone before by screaming at them. So it was a very good workshop. So that's what it's reminded me of, that idea of like, because of the location we were in and we were at a certain time and stuff like that, and we had to really take it seriously. It was very good, really enjoyable, but again, not for everyone. Rules are possession, mask, and keywords. So when you are ghost hunters, you use a special mask to contact the entities. The mask is a gateway that opens your minds to the spirit, lets them enter. Possession is fatiguing, often dangerous process. That's part of the reason why you depend on each other in the group, and that's why one person can usually only become possessed once in a single seance. Twice is possible, but pushing your limits. Possession and keyword cards are open to player interpretation and serve as inspiration for them during the possession. The cards provide atmospheric but cryptic play guidance about tone, theme, and motivation. Some cards also include a word, fairly unusual but not necessarily bizarre, that you must utter during possession. These words are keywords for another player. Not all keywords will be triggered during the game, and all may not be remembered, but try to listen for your keyword though. Remember that if you feel a need for a second possession, there is one extra possession card in the game you can use. This card is best used at the very end of the game. Beyond this, you're on your own. Let the mask guide you. Every player also has a keyword card that, if the possessed character utters it, triggers some dramatic and specific action, response, or sequence of events. For example, the possession card instructs the player acting as the ghost of Sarah, the deceased team member, to utter the phrase, is that supposed to be Ouroboros? Ouroboros? At some point during possession. Another player will have the following keyword instruction card. When you hear the phrase Ouroboros, or Ouroboros perhaps, you are reminded of a specific event involving Sarah. You will start relating this event and keep talking no matter what else is occurring in the room, like a madman talking to himself. If someone forgets their keyword, it's okay. Don't worry, you missed a cue. Just keep playing and improvising new content in the story. Rule: turn away to don the mask. Never allow anyone to witness you putting on the mask on your face. Before you put on the mask, turn your back. When it is in play, you are breathing through the ghost's emotions. Turn and face the players. Ooh. Safety. So playtests have shown that the game can get intense. What gave that away? the scary photos you have of people in half masks? By default, it runs without safety mechanisms except the open door policy. Our assumption is that the players are adults who share a basic normal trust in their fellow players. If the group or local play culture prefers safe words or safety mechanisms like cut, break, X card, or similar, absolutely agree before play and use them. I 100% would do that. Like, the open door policy is a great policy in the sense of, like, you can just leave whenever you want, absolutely. But I think certainly the X card is super important for this one. I understand, like, pause and play and force forward and stuff, maybe not so. I think the X card to stop play 100%. 'Cause I know it's about the immersion of it, so I understand exactly why. But I think you absolutely need that X card in play. 100%, you need that. God, that's terrifying, isn't it? So another rule: obey the ghost. When the ghost gives a direct instruction or command, your character has to obey. You can try to twist and interpret its instructions like some fairy tale Jin, but in the end, you have to obey the ghost. Trust as a player that this is for the best. Rule: take off the mask. To end possession phase, when someone is wearing the mask and acting as a ghost, a character lightly touches the shoulder of the possessed character and utters the command, take off the mask. Ooh, I like it. All very ritual-like, isn't it? The ghost player must instantly obey this instruction, ending their possession phase. Oh, you know what I've just realised as well? Apologies, I'm going to shoot back a bit. Where is it? Where was the... So, the secrets, the words are going to be on the back, aren't they? But they've just... I see, but they've got the... Yeah, the words will be on the back of these cards. They're not the symbols. That was my bad. The symbols are supposed to make sure you don't pick the same two cards. I understand now. I get you. Ending the possession phase. Rule: leave the classroom, going off game, and taking breaks. A character, and thus the player, can leave and return to the room at will. Make up a fictional reason if you plan on leaving and returning. When you're outside the classroom, you are off game. It's a holiday and the school in the fiction is closed. You could explain yourself to the other characters. You can ask for someone to go outside with you for a moment. It could be for a breather, the restroom, anything. It could be for dramatic effect or whatever reason you need. Try to return to the room and the game as soon as you can. You can also do collective in-game breaks if you prefer. We suggest one 10-minute off-game break between warm-up and the game start. Yeah, that makes sense for this. Again, very similar to Alice's Missing. Because the game runs in real time, coming and going is perfectly natural and should be encouraged. If you need a break, take one. This will give the other players a great opportunity to gossip and speculate behind your back. And then rule ending the game. So choose two players to be responsible for initiating the ending of the game. This could happen by the group performing a closing ritual that mirrors the opening ritual you will all soon experience, or by some other means that seems natural given the story that has emerged. Ask two players to be alert for a good time to bring the game to its conclusion. Knowing when to end the game requires some sense of timing and knowing when it feels right. The old editing a scene and improv thing. It's always better, I find to edit too soon and too late. And the feel right, yeah, and there's always that thing of like, oh, should it be now? You're feeling like, oh, someone should have edited. You're like, yeah, someone should have edited. It should have been you. That's the word. And then we've got spooky. Wait, is that a lift? They're in. They're in a lift. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Okay. Sort of rule documentation. So some of the character roles may point towards an in-game documentation. This is encouraged provided that every player gives consent to be recorded. Oh, okay. Oh, that's very cool. Very Blair Witch, huh? As long as everyone is good with it, take photos, videos, and audio record your session. If anyone doesn't want the game to be documented or seems in the least uncomfortable with their assent, enjoy the game without it. Yeah, but this could be a really good one to put as a live, like an actual play, right? You put cameras in rooms, etc. Very much traitor style, or very much like we did with Blood on the Clock Tower quite recently as well. All right. So, done the rules, we've done the setting. Let's get into it. So, warm-up / flashback. To get acquainted with the mask and the rules, you'll play a brief flashback scene together. The warm-up introduces mask work and lets players try out the game's rules, using warm-up specific keyword cards and possession cards. This is the only time you'll use these 4 cards. After the warm-up, all cards not assigned to players will be put away to avoid confusion. This is a guided exercise that sees a subset of the ghost hunting team dealing with the spirit. It is facilitated by you, the reader of this text. Your character is not present. Sarah, who is alive and at the time of the flashback warm-up, is also not present. The year is 1995 in the flashback sequence. Guide the others through the procedure of the game. The opening ritual, becoming possessed, dealing with keywords, the rules, obey the ghost, and take off the mask. Cut the scene when you feel the players have got the hang of it. Show the warm-up possession keycards to everyone and let them know how they work. Let everyone try on the mask before you begin play, especially if it has a tricky knot, the player wears glasses, have long hair or similar. 2 players get example keyword cards and 2 players get possession cards. Ask a volunteer to act out the first warm-up possession. Instruct them. You're in a small bedroom at the house of a family in the suburb. They have been haunted by strange sounds and nightmares since they moved in last year. You are trying to help them. Say something along these lines when a player puts on the mask for the first time. You don't have to interrupt unless they seem to be getting into it. When you read the possession card, focus on one of the first adjectives. As you put on the mask, allow that emotion to come out of your breath. Whenever you feel less connected during possession, come back to the breath. Turn away and slowly place the mask on your face. Close your eyes whilst doing so. Focus your breath. Breathe the emotion. Keep your hands over the eyes of the mask. Breathe the emotion. Remove your hands. Then flick your eyes open, and the ghost is there. Notice how, through the eyes of the mask, the world is different. Follow your impulses. Let the ghost speak with your mouth. Try out a couple of possessions with different players. Hopefully, this will help you run the game together without such instructions. If it doesn't happen too abruptly for you to react, tell the players when they can unmask. Notice how you feel different when you take it off, as if you leave what is speaking there. Your character also, when they remove the mask, may remember the experience, but more as an observer than anything. Hopefully everyone will be energized and excited about what is to come at this point. Begin the game when you're ready. So, let's go back up here. So observe. So also use the warm-up to give some soft directions regarding playstyle. If you notice someone is blocking or seems unsure, offer friendly tips and cues based on the principles and rules outlined on page 5. Maybe even offer direct suggestions during scenes. Yeah, proper side coaching. Be better, Sandra. Do better. Oh, commit to the possession, Brian. Sandra and Brian might always go to ghost hunters for these sort of things. Facilitating the flashback. So during the flashback sequence, it's okay for this facilitator to remind players of the obey the ghost rule and take off the mask. Don't be afraid to edit the scenes tightly. This is a demonstration, not a performance. Ooh. That is terrifying. Are they out? I guess the person is outside taking the photo. And... Quiet downtime. Some of the most interesting play will occur between possessions. 100%. Absolutely. All right, let's get into playing the game. So we've done the setup. The only thing I'd add as well, I would with the safety tools. I know it talked about like the documentation is quite fun. I do think you do need to do lines and veils with this as well. Thinking about it as well, just like, hey, let's not mention certain topics during the ritual. Like we can be horrible about certain players, but we can't, you know, punch down or that something. I think that's the only thing I would add. Actually, thinking about it a little bit more. But again, that's easy enough to do. I guess if you're signing up to do this LARP or you're signing up to play in this game anyway, that you do this beforehand and just have it on the table, on that off-game table. So, the opening ritual. So when everyone is ready to begin, conduct a small ritual to open the room. Put the mask on the floor in a central location. Stand in a circle around the mask and hold hands. Close your eyes and start humming. Listen to the others. Ooh, it's kind of like a soundscape. Okay. Try to match their rhythm and sound. Add small variations. Continue for a while. Decide individually when to stop until all are silent. Then say, make your presence known. This ritual readies the mask and the group to interact with spirits. Between possessions, it can be it could be good to let the mask rest a bit between possessions whilst keeping the game going. Maybe 3 minutes, maybe 15. You'll have to give energy some time to gather. And then ending the game. Either or both players you've tasked with ending the game will know when it is right to do so. Conduct the closing ritual or follow the story that you've created to wherever it leads. But some factors to consider. Have all the players had a chance to play at least one possession phase? Has there been some kind of resolution with Sarah? Is she ready to depart? Has she been destroyed? Have some other personal conflicts been resolved or brought to light? Time is also a factor as well. The total time for old friends at Bastival was 4 hours. You can decide to finish sooner. I think 4 hours is good. You know, if you got that little bit of setup beforehand, which should take what, half an hour or so, and you have maybe have a break in the middle. Ultimately, whatever choice you make will be the right one. Repeat the opening ritual, saying you may depart instead of make your presence known. This cleanses the room and closes the mask. For now. We've got some thanks there as well. Nice. Lots of playtests as well. Nice. Alright, so those are that one. Oh, and there's for chillers. Facilitator's cheat sheet. That's what I was going to say. So what have we got? Acquire a suitable mask and secure a time and place to play. Invite 4 friends. Print out, cut out, and sort cards. Color coding them is helpful. Print out the keyword letter if you feel like knowing the keywords in advance will be helpful. This is optional. Arrange the space and welcome your fellow players. This is quite good to have these sort of just printed somewhere. Maybe you put it up on a wall, perhaps. Oh, there you go, a charity project. There you go. Save lives, build futures. For the Minds Advisory Group. Oh, nice. Oh, and then we go on to the cards. Nice, a nice short one today, but ensure that these cards are double-sided. Right, so we've got what have we got? We've got Leader, Enforcer, Scholar, Caretaker, Con Artist, Diehard. Ooh. So you are the group's leader, the group's face and driving force. You are bold, energetic, and arrogant. Always the way. The Enforcer, you are the Enforcer. Sometimes the group operated in legal grey areas. You were the one that kept everyone safe and in line. You were pragmatic, tough, and thoughtless. Ooh, so there's like 2 positives and 1 negative trait there, huh? Scholar, so you were the scholar of ancient ghost lore and the researcher of new haunts. You were thoughtful, strict, and cruel when necessary. Caretaker, so you were the caretaker, the group's centre of gravity, a mother hen, attending to both the financial matters and bruised egos. You were caring, trusting, and foolish. You were the con artist and never truly believed in the cause, but you could sell bones in a graveyard and often save the group through various deals. You were cunning, quick and selfish. And then you were the diehard. Paranormal was an intimate part of your life. You brought experience and a sense of purpose to the group. You were ambitious, open, and eccentric. Nice. I think a good range of cards, a good range of like roles as well. And 6 is enough as well. Easy enough to be like, you're not having to worry about picking certain things. And it'd be cool to play with different ones. If you didn't have a leader, for example, that'd be quite interesting. Yeah, and then you got the back of it, the team role there. Okay. Oh, there's more. Sorry, my bad. There's loads of these. Oh no, these are backstories. My bad. Okay. Oh, so this is what you did in the 20 years since what happened to Sarah, right? So, Hunter, you kept hunting ghosts for real, quietly putting the disturbed spirits to rest. You are poor and a little crazy. Again, wouldn't use that terminology today. Obsessed might be better, I think. Celebrity, you went on to moderate fame, not really hunting ghosts per se, not doing good work, but writing a tell-all ghost stories and appearing on television. You are self-satisfied and wealthy. Careerist, you got out entirely and started fresh in a new, boring, lucrative line of work. An accountant, a tax advisor, that sort of thing. Oh, you have much to lose. Interesting, that's only one thing there on that careerist one. And then we've got disaster. You went in and out of institutions for years. You're still just barely hanging on, abusing anything that will stave off the voices, the things you hear. You are broke, unemployed, and desperate. Again, this is why, yeah, you definitely need to have that content warnings here about certain maybe mental health stuff and institutions. A bit tricky, that one, I think. Maybe, yeah, again, just certain things knowing about it. If people are like, no, thank you, you can take that out of the game. Professor, so you got out of ghost hunting and went on to be an academic. Boo. No, thank you. I have been fighting, oh my god, a terminal disease for years. Perhaps more spiritually attuned with death because of it. Again, you have to have your lines and veils about that sort of stuff. You can't just spring that on people. You are interested in where this will lead with nothing to lose. I think it'd have to be something else. If you didn't want that terminal disease stuff, you'd have to have like I don't know, you're going to be exposed for something. Again, it could be something equally bad, but I feel you've got to be careful with diseases like that or conditions like that. Then parents, your family is your joy. You care for them so deeply. You're always afraid. The knowledge that your other side could reach out for your children the knowledge that the other side could reach out for your children at any given night scares you witless. Ooh. Right, interesting. Those are the backstories. What would I add now? This is the thing. What would you add nowadays? So we've got Hunter, Celebrity, Careerist, Professor, Disaster, and Parent. I think you could have a few more, maybe more up-to-date ones, perhaps. I feel like, because Careerist... Lucrative... I don't know, actually. I'm trying to think of those particular tropes that we see with... I'm thinking of, like, at World's End, where you have all the gang getting back together, like, for that reunion. And you have, like, the dropout, you have, like, the jock, or the careerist, or the boring person, etc. So I think maybe taking on those things. So yeah, maybe sports could come into it a little bit, perhaps. Again, looking at any sort of tropes, I would make it sort of reasonable that why these people would be friends and what would they've gone on to do. Problem with the living cards now. So we've got 6 here. So we've got love, hate, trust, deception, sacrifice, and friendship. So love, you had an intense romantic relationship with another living member of the team. Maybe you were married. You lived with each other fiercely for a while. Decide who it is and ask them what the last straw was and why it ended so badly. I do like the idea of having a married couple or ended in divorce, or even that they're still married but they don't love each other anymore. Again, lines and veils, all that sort of thing. Again, that might be people might be like, no, thank you to romance. Hate. There's another living team member that you have a visceral hatred for, and it was mutual. Decide who it was and ask them why they loathed you and what was the real root cause of the weirdly strong enmity. Trust. You never trusted a person on the team, someone who's still alive. You felt they were always ready to go too far and tamper with things that you were not meant to tamper with. Decide who it was and ask them to tell you about the thing they did that scared you into quitting. Deception. Decide which other living member of the team recruited you back in 1993. You've never forgiven them for drawing you into this nightmare it turned out to be, so decide who it is and ask them what lie you told. So that was the example they gave earlier. Sacrifice. You took the fall for another living member of the team. The scapegoat stain has never washed off. Decide who it was and ask them what it was about and why it had to be you. Then friendship. You were the best friends with another living member of the team. Decide who it was and ask them how they betrayed you when it all fell apart. Ooh, okay. And then, what are these ones? Love or shame? So this is the problem with the dead. Oh, so this is stuff with Sarah. Okay. Oh, and I see. You can choose. You can choose which one it is. Oh, okay. So we've got love or shame, loyalty or regret, failure or murder, haunting or madness, hatred or fear, coincidence or secrecy. So love. You and Sarah were lovers and nobody else could know. You need to let go. Loyalty or regret. You knew the terrible things Sarah had done and never told a soul. Sarah needs to be redeemed somehow, and maybe you do too. Failure or murder. You were complicit in Sarah's death. No one knows but the two of you, and one of you is dead. Remember, this is a secret from the characters, but not the players. You need to be forgiven. Haunting or madness. You have seen Sarah after her death several times against your will. She is tormenting you for reasons you can only suspect. You must give her what she wants or take it away forever. Hatred or fear. You hated Sarah almost as much as you fear her. You still do on both counts. You must confront her. And then coincidence or secrecy. Choose another player and ask to see their card. Whatever it says equally applies to you. Perhaps you share a secret, or perhaps you carry your identical burdens privately. Collaborate and decide. Yes, I love that. What a great card that is. I almost mirror. I love anything like that. It's almost like twins, essentially. We get that in, I think it's Good Society? Or Fight with Spirit, I think was the other one that had that same sort of thing. I really like that. Ooh, and here is the possession card. So what colour? So we've got two different. I see. Yeah, there's two different types of cards, and that's the extra one there. So we've got two crosses, two wavy lines. I think they're supposed to represent those ESP stuff, right? So we've got stars, we've got moons, and we've got circles. So when you're possessed, so you are Sarah. Let regret and sympathy guide you. They were your friends. Now you remember. Approach one of the others. Beg them to recount how they harmed you. Then ask if they can ever forgive. Use the word Serac when you are possessed. You are Sarah. Let remembrance and resentment guide you. You recognize them all. They were your friends? They left you here. Tell them about the cold place you're in. Build gradually. Choose a player and confront them. Ask them, what do you do to remember? What do you remember about me? And then use the word Arak when you are possessed. You are Sarah. Let the pity and horror guide you. What have they done to themselves? What did they do to you? They were here to save you, but you would save them if you could. They need you, but time is a tangled knot where you are. Go up to one of them, whisper in their ear and tell them, the circumstances of their death. Use the word Bissus when you are possessed. You are Sarah. Let the sorrow and menace guide you. These people can destroy whatever you have left of yourself forever. Don't let that happen. If you don't yet know who your former lover was, demand that they reveal themselves. Ooh, use the word Serek to be possessed. So yeah, you have to choose one of these two. Ooh, it's a bit of a... Oh, wait, what's that one? You are not Sarah. Let spite and cunning guide you. These creatures are vile. You see their true faces and turn them against each other. They seek another. Perhaps you can pretend to be that one. Point to the person who seems most calm. Command them to tell the truth and use the word Arak when you are possessed. Oh, that's really good. I like that one. You are not Sarah. Ooh, that's quite good. Okay, you are Sarah. Let the terror and flight guide you. This cannot be real. You're gone. You are all here. Alternate between calm, collected pacing and anguished screams. Go up to one of them. Whisper in their ear which emotion they feel. You feel. And then use the word bissus when you are possessed. Nice. Oh, I like that. Oh, there's some more You Are Not Sarah's. Amazing. So You Are Not Sarah. Let confusion and tension guide you. You have no name. You are a fox in a live trap. If they open the cage door, lash out and flee. Focus your attention on two players you choose. Set them against each other. If they lower their guard, escape. Use the word hapax when you are possessed. You are not Sarah. Let apprehension and disquiet guide you. Someone has stirred you from your slumber. This is your space now. Interrogate them. Do not reveal your name. Demonstrate your powers by giving minor commands. Obey the ghost. That's where this is going to come in, isn't it? Oh. Use the word Yisel when you are possessed. While you are possessed, sorry. Let relief and mercy guide you. You did good, you did bad, you lived, it's time. Sit down on the floor, fatigue. Smile, cry. Ask for their forgiveness and help to let go. That will be that final card there, yeah? Anyone? Yeah. You are Sarah. Let incredulity and abandonment guide you. You recognize one of these faces. They were there at the end. Tell them, briefly, what you remember of the last day. Choose a player and confront them. Ask them about what they remember about you. Ask them what they remember about you. And use the word hapax. There you go. Words, whilst you were possessed. And then you are Sarah. Let clarity and absolution guide you. You are lucid. Remember how it all came to pass. And this needs to end. Tell them what you did on the final day. Point to two players by turn. Demand they explain their actions. And use the word Yisel when you are possessed. They're pretty good, aren't they, those possession cards? Some really good ones there. So we've got, in total, we've got 11, right? So we've got 6 there. And then we've got 5 here. I think what's interesting, we have that final possession card, which is like a last go-to one. We have 1, 2, 3 chances for it not to be Sarah. I like the fact we don't necessarily know it's her, so you can really play that sort of almost like betrayer kind of mode. So that's quite good. Okay, so we're going on to the keywords now. So there's going to be only these ones I see. So when you hear the word hapax, it's time for relevation. Relevation, yeah. Reveal your inner darkness by word, gesture, or deed. Bissus. Drop into a convulsive fit. Ooh, emerge whenever it feels right, shaken and exhausted. Again, be careful with that one. When you hear the word Yisel, you are overcome with a vision of the exact moment the group was disbanded. It lasts for only a minute, but seems longer to you. Describe what you saw to the others. When you hear the keyword Serak, slowly approach the greatest monster you see in the room. What did you do? When you hear the word Arkra, you are suddenly possessed. Go to tap the shoulder of the currently possessed character to say, take off the mask, put the mask on, and continue as the ghost in your possession card plays you to. Wait, so what are those ones then? What's the Arak one? Let me just check. Interesting. So we've got it. What do you remember about me? And then command them to tell the truth. So you could almost have like, depending on what your possession card is, you could maybe have Sarah fight for control, or another demon fight for control, which could be quite interesting. I like that as a story play. Quite interesting, that nice, interesting bit of gameplay. Oh, there's more. Huh. Oh, it's a warm-up possession. Okay. I was like, wait, what? Ah, so we've got... Hang on. Zoom out, Fiona. Let's see. Oh, so these are the warm-up ones. Ritual guidance and rules and practice. Okay, okay. Have a look, see. How are we doing on time? Oh, just over an hour. That's not too bad. So, we have the ritual. So when everyone's beginning to begin, open the door. Yes, so that's the opening ritual. The principles ones, which is good to have to one side. You are a ghost. Let sorrow and anxiety guide you. You were abandoned. Your parents are gone. Where are they? When you have power to command these people if you dare. When use the word domiton while you're possessed, and then when you hear that word, you receive a vision of the dead child's past. Tell the others what you saw and what did you do. Again, your mileage may vary. It's lines and veils, anything with dead children, and just for the sake of it. So you have a ghost. Let playfulness and guile guide you. You're a child. You don't know these people. This is your room. Choose one of them. Tell them to play with you. Use the word abaculus whilst you're possessed. When you hear the word, find the strength to bring comfort. What do you do? Okay. Those warm-up ones aren't too bad. They're not too scary, although that's quite sad that the past of the dead child. Oh, and there's some notes on the glossary and glossy during the spirit possession. So the words or sounds occur regularly in the speech of individuals possessed by spirits. Each of these have been reported at least half a dozen times by various members of the group in wildly different circumstances. So Abaculus, Arak, Dissus, Domiton, Hapax, Serac, and Yisel. Despite similarities, research indicates that none of these words are used directly in present-day languages, rather appearing in instances of bogey. That is bogey, isn't it? Bogey glossolalia. Glossolaria. They are also not, oh gosh, Enochian, for what it's worth. None of these appear in the West Ways. Oh, Pseudomordaemon. Okay, I'm guessing these are. Oh yeah, these must be words. Oh wait, this is an actual thing from Sarah. Ooh, okay. I'm sorry, just see right at the bottom there. Obviously, I checked in these different places. They appear to be coherent speech, but cropped up in the oddest ways, sometimes as cryptic commands, sometimes injected into coherent sentences in other languages, sometimes as repetitive chants. There's no common thread other than their consistency across possessions. There doesn't seem to be any common reaction to their use or incorporation, they just happen, another piece of the puzzle. If you have any idea about this or have words to add to the lexicon, let me know. See Sarah. There we go. And that's it. That's the end of the book there. So you can print that out and have it there. And yeah, you see, April 2020, 1995. Interesting. Okay, well, there you go. That is Old Friends. Let's get back to the top. So, what do we think? What do we think? So, number one, obviously, this is definitely more of a LARP than the role-playing game. But I quite like the idea of doing something like this. Again, stuff like Phasmophobia, still quite big, I think. When you think of stuff like there are ghosts in this Discord, Alice is missing, the idea of creating a game together, a story together, for a limited amount of time as a one-shot. This works very well. And also there's some physical elements, that idea of the mask, the cards, all of that sort of is appealing and could be quite interesting. I wonder if there is a way to do this online. I think it could be. There could be a way to do this online. It's about making sure that everyone is safe. That's the one downside I think I say to this, is that I know it sort of hand waves the safety and the lines and veils stuff a little bit. Again, I know it's of its time, but I 100% would, just because some of those cards, they're pretty brutal if you're not expecting them. So whilst I wouldn't necessarily stop play, I would definitely, if I saw that someone was like, I don't want to see anything with that has harm to children in it, that warm-up card does not work at all, right? So maybe it would be something else. Similarly, if there was something about, say, I don't know, self-harm or the terminal illness that we saw come up, again, we might want to change those around into the backstories as well. And I think that's easy enough to do as a facilitator. You can absolutely change those things, but again, you would ideally, so you do need to do a little bit of prep on this, I do think. I think just sending out those lines of ales beforehand as well, and just confirming with people, and just having backups as well. I think it's easy to make the backups on this one. I would also say, I would like to see it done online. I feel like you can do it with like the multiple channels in a Discord, or doing it as like Zoom rooms, with lots of different Zoom rooms that you can go in and out of. But it makes sense if you're in person to do it in one space so that everyone can see what's going on. I would like to see this recorded in some way. Whether it is like with having cameras in the same room, or doing something like what we did recently using Riverside and recording all the conversations and then editing it to and fro, could be really interesting. I like the fact it encourages documentation as well as a very unique experience. I think it'd be cool to have it with just 3 ghost hunters and 1 facilitator, so 4 minimum. I think just to really sort of enhance that sort of isolation and loneliness, perhaps, and really build on those relationships. Because this is the thing, there's no start or end time per se. It is just more like agreeing a time and improvising it. I thought the rules were quite good in terms of like what to do and those safety ways to get into character and out of character, opening and closing rituals, making it feel very important and keeping everyone safe as well. I'm a huge fan of Kitchen Larps from Banana Chan's Suburban Consumption. I've not heard of Suburban Consumption, but yes, I love Banana Chan's work. I believe they were the person that did Forgery, right? The solo RPG, which is like it's like a paint by numbers RPG, which I do have actually, and I could go through that at some point because that is a really cool idea. And I love trying new stuff like that in terms of like being able to share an experience that you could only do like with certain people. Yeah, it'll be different every time you play this, right? Because we've got those different cards as well. But I'll check out Suburban Consumption. That sounds excellent, though. What else can I say about this? I think the cover is good. I think the pictures are useful. I will say that they are quite small, aren't they, on this side? Maybe it's just the way they're taken. I can see they've got this sheet behind this lady here. Or this person, even, I don't know. So I think that is... I would like to... I feel like you could put the images a little bit bigger, perhaps, but I guess these are just more of a reference for things. I think you could redo it so you can have a bit... Like, look, there's massive spaces of white here as well, which you could reuse a little bit more. But, interesting. I guess the other place is like, where else could we put it? Because obviously it puts it in the scenario of a school. And it doesn't say, obviously it builds it up to be like, whatever happened, you build it up between you guys, which is great. But I think it would be nice if we had a few prompts, maybe just to have in our back pockets. I think sometimes we might need some guidance here. And it does say about, I thought the warm-up, having a warm-up for this sort of thing, I think that's really cool, because it not only does it like get you into using the instructions or getting used to the rules and like how to get possessed or not, but it sort of it lays the groundwork for like, hey, this is what happened in the past, and the fact that your facilitator character isn't there yet, so hasn't been recruited yet, and Sarah isn't there yet either, keeps it kind of separate, but it kind of focuses on those characters who will play another part in it and continue on their story, which I think is really good and really interesting, and just keeps it all sort of contained as well. The other game it reminds me of a little bit is The Way We Used to Fly, which we covered a couple of months ago now, but whereby you play the same characters both as a child and an adult, and it's not horrible, it's not like a horror game per se, but you go back to an abandoned theme park where you go to the same attractions, and you go as an adult first, you play out the scene with the other adults, and then you go back to that attraction as you were as a kid, and then reflecting on back and forth. So I wonder if there's something we could do here about like reflecting back and forth on what really happened at the initial bit where on the night that Sarah passed. But I think maybe it's more interesting to have that as flashback and not focus on it too much, perhaps, rather than going through it. But that's the only other thing it kind of reminds me of. a little bit. And it's quite short as well. Again, I've got a lot of cards at the back. I will say that the card instructions for printing, if I go to it, a little bit all over the place, right? You, print these cards double-sided in the printer settings, choose a... But then it's all... I feel like it's not. Flip on the short side. I don't know. Bit odd looking, so it might take you a little while to get ready. But yeah, I feel like there's a way to do this online. That was it. The other game I was thinking of was with the opening and closing rituals is Die the RPG. I know I always talk about Die the RPG, but the idea that they have a thing for doing it online as well is that you, in person, you pass around the dice to indicate, you know, the opening of the way. And here it's just you practicing. If it was online, you just practice by sort of offering it to them, like past the camera, and then they take it, and at the same time, just practicing that, which I thought was just a really cool way of doing it. Well, that was Old Friends, which you can get on RPG. If she says trying to get to the chat, sorry, you can have a look at it for yourselves. I don't know how much it is because I've already bought it, unfortunately. Presumably it's not too much. Tell you what, why don't I? Oh, what if I'm going all over the place today? Hang on. Why don't I open it myself and I can actually bloody tell you. Tell her I've played this music quite a lot for my First Estrada people, can't I? Okay, so it is $6. It is $6 from Bully Pulkit. So that's roughly what, £4? I think that's a good shout, to be honest with you. Again, for an evening's entertainment, which I think you can get quite a lot of, and of course this is obviously going to the charity as well. I think you can get quite a lot out of it as well. I wonder what the reviews say. We go to let's go. Should we go to the reviews? That's oh god, it's so bright, that colour. So the reviews, if I bring them up, she says, trying to appreciate we are on old. Oh, there you go. It's about, yeah, I was quite right. It was £4.68. That's right. So it's here. It says a well-written game. The rules are brief and concise, containing everything you need to play. The only thing that prevents you from running the game in 10 minutes is printing that takes a while to cut out the cards. I've now run this game 5 times, and the stories emerge vary wildly, from love stories to murder mysteries to Cthulhuoid. The mask that's been used are described in the rules, but also forces onto the players to send them to hell, using self-sacrifice and everything in between. It's an awesome tool. If the game lacks anything, it would be a list of pitfalls to avoid. That's a good point, actually. Last time I had, the players played themselves into a corner where they needed a non-existing NPC to be physically present to conclude the game, but luckily managed to kidnap a bystander. I was filming the session, and normally I'd have participated. That's a good point. I guess, yeah, what list of pitfalls would to avoid? Well, again, I think the lines and veils would actually help quite a lot of it out. Or having a safe word as well to physically stop the filming or stop the game. And I think I think interesting to having you needing to have a non-existing NPC to be present to conclude the game. I think that comes from improv necessarily. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, well, once we get someone in and this person, they're going to come and they're going to save us, you know, the police come and save us. Is you're putting the action outside of the game rather than here right now in the room between you two. So don't be planning too much out what you're going to do in the future. What are you doing right now? It's like that media res thing. That would be my suggestion to this particular group. But that's great, though. That, yeah, it sounds really good. That's something I would love to play myself or run myself. I mean, I know what the cards say now. But there you go. Let's go back to Big Fiona Cam. But there you go. So that was Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs. I hope that was interesting for you for this Friday evening's entertainment. I will be back probably Sunday. But Saturday tomorrow I have plans. She says ? But I might come back. I might go back Saturday as well. I have to see what other RPGs I've got on my list. But in the meantime, if you're like, oh, Fiona, you talk so good. Words great. I'm like, thank you. Well, you can come check out What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG monster podcast. We've got lots of different game designer interviews just now because I do have some actual plays that are in the pipeline. I've got one that I need to edit. Just a bit tricky to find time just now to sit down, but I've got another couple of interviews coming up, which you should check out because they're all about sort of game design and game designers talking about their philosophy and stuff. And it's actually quite interesting to check out what they think. The process of making games like this we get to read, which is fun. If you're like Fiona, there's only one podcast to rule them all. What, wrong podcast? One RPG to rule them all. I'm like, yes, there is D&D, I guess. You come check out the DM's book club. It's a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. Recently, we've had our friend Emily Bates, the amazing storyteller over on RP Geeks, to talk about the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, because she's running that for her group just now, and we got to critique it in all its ways, and that was super, super fun. We'll definitely be having Emily on back again soon. We've also, a tiny spoiler, but it's not so much, we decided would actually be an actual book club. I know, right? We've recorded in the can, we've recorded our first Legend of Drizzt books. We did Homeland, and so we're going to try and do one a month and try and read through or listen to, I've been listening to them instead, each of the books that I'd never read or listened to a Drizzt novel before, and yeah, I thought it was all right. Bit dated in places, but ultimately Drizzt, big cat daddy. Who knew? Who knew? That's all I have for now. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I hope any weekend games you've got coming up, and may you roll high or low depending on your system. That's it. I'm gonna put away some like stuff. I'm surrounded by stuff that I need to put away and get ready for this evening, where hopefully we're gonna play Blood on the Clock Tower. Fingers crossed. If not, then I'll go to the gym or do some more admin. Oof. But thank you so much. Hopefully see you tomorrow or Sunday or whenever. And I'm going to find the end of stream button and I'm going to wave randomly. And have a good evening, folks.